I'm Alicia Powe, reporting from Capitol Hill for TvAbraham's Inside the Capitol. President Trump wrapped up his summit with Xi Jinping last week with modest wins on soybeans, Boeing jets, and rare earth access. But big questions remain on tech controls, Taiwan, and China's support for Russia and Iran. This week, I asked lawmakers what real wins came out of the Trump-Xi summit, and how should Congress counter China's social credit-style surveillance system, human rights abuses, and influence operations here inside the United States?
The Chinese are our rivals, and they are behaving in a way trying to undermine our goals. Holding China accountable through this, it's entirely appropriate. A nuclear-free Iran is in best interest unless you're trying to undermine peace, Israel, or America.
What makes diplomacy successful and taking a firm line against any adversary, whether it's China or Russia or anyone else, is that they understand that we have the resolve and the best military in the world, and that we are going to make sure that we stand behind what we say. Now, that's what we're showing with the kind of resolve in Iran. When the president said they can never have a nuclear weapon, he's showing that they can never have a nuclear weapon. And so that is about America's role as really providing strength and stability, globally. But as far as China, I think we have to continue to work with them, but at the same time push back on their activities where they're engaging in spying and undermining our cyber systems and other kind of things. And we also have to push back very hard on them in trade. We have to be realistic about what they're doing.
You have to look at who Trump brought with him, right? In this whole fleet and delegation that he's brought to China, he's only brought these big corporate CEOs. He's only brought these tech CEOs, these big ag CEOs. And so my concern is that any deal that comes out of this is really going to continue to screw over the American worker and people, possibly, make these high prices even higher. We don't know what's going to happen. And so my concern is that delegation is just all big business and all people at the very top. And I don't think there's enough voices representing farmers and workers and making sure that whatever comes of this is actually going to help everyday Americans.
We need to continue to actively pursue Communist China's malign activities, and that includes what they're doing with regard to anything online or when they're establishing police stations in this country or anything like that. The U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer announced that China will be buying double-digit billions of dollars of agricultural products. It's important to remember that Communist China has been a bad trading partner in the past, so they need to be held accountable to the commitments that they make. I look forward to the administration doing just that.
What real wins came out of the Trump-Xi summit?
We don't know the full details. The president went there, and he went there from a position of strength. He stood up, he pressed China to assist more in getting Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. That was an appropriate thing to do. He also pushed to open up the Chinese markets to more American goods, including 200 Boeing airplanes, including fighting for American farmers. And then the president also pressed China to release political prisoners. I authored a bipartisan resolution in the Senate that passed unanimously last week, urging the president to use his voice when he's in China to press for the political prisoners, both Jimmy Lai, the democracy leader from Hong Kong, but also the Christian pastors that the Chinese communists have locked up, for them to be released. Much of it, we'll see the fruits of it over the coming weeks and months, is very much my hope.
I understand some some agriculture deliverables were a win, and then a couple of hundred planes were sold. So that's good for the economy, and those are good wins.
Certainly, we should try to make sure that China's not helping Iran. That should be part of the conversation without question.
Look, I feel like the United States should maintain support for Taiwan. I think American policy is to support the autonomy of Taiwan, and we should remain faithful to our long tradition of defending the autonomy of Taiwan. The approach we have to take with China is trust but verify.
Should Congress ban Chinese components in our data centers?
Absolutely. You got to have the parts somewhere else. One thing he's negotiating is to see where they can have a reciprocal trade with parts. We need their rare earth. They need our medical supplies. They're a communist country, so you can't trust them.
I'm Alicia Powe reporting from Capitol Hill for TvAbraham's Inside the Capitol. Thank you for watching.